In the trembling dawn of a world collapsing under its own shadows, Joshua stands before us as a figure forged by fire, faith, and the thunder of an ancient promise. The question that ignites this journey is simple yet terrifying. What hidden force descended from the heavens and tilted the scales of war in his favor? Picture the sky streaked with burning clouds, the earth rumbling like a restless beast, and Israel standing before Jericho, a city wrapped in arrogance and walls that scraped the breath of the sky. In that moment, destiny felt carved between mortal frailty and divine intervention. Joshua was not merely leading warriors. He was stepping into a covenant where unseen realms governed the rise and fall of nations, and the people sensed it. Something was coming. Something not crafted by human hands, a force capable of redefining their understanding of power, obedience, and the presence of the Almighty. As you step deeper into this narrative, imagine the air thickening, torches flickering in unnatural patterns, and an unseen presence circling the camp like a silent guardian forged of wind and flame. Could it be that the same force that marched with Joshua still walks among us today? Have you ever felt guided or warned by something you couldn't fully explain? Share your experiences in the comments. Every detail in Joshua's journey suggests a choreography between heaven and earth, a blueprint of intervention only visible to those willing to look beyond the surface. When Joshua lifted his eyes and saw the mysterious figure with a drawn sword, he understood that this battle would be shaped not by human strength, but by the decrees of realms beyond sight. In those haunting moments before revelation struck, the warriors felt fear melt into awe as a radiance beyond comprehension flickered on the horizon. The very air rippled, as though heaven bowed toward earth in a gesture of impending intervention. Elders whispered that the captain of the Lord's hosts walked among them, cloaked in light and authority that outshone the stars. That presence did not need to shout. Its command shaped destiny with unbearable clarity. As night deepened around the camp, an uncanny stillness covered the land, a silence so profound it felt as if creation itself held its breath. What approached was not merely an instruction or a miracle. It was a weapon from realms unseen, forged to bend reality to the will of the Most High. Before we continue unraveling the mystery of this weapon from the sky, subscribe, activate notifications, and share this video with someone who needs to. Remember that battles are not won by sight alone. In this unfolding tale, every step draws us closer to a revelation shaped by eternity, urging us to watch and stand firm before approaching mysteries. As the night over Jericho thickened like a living veil, Joshua felt the weight of a revelation pressing against the borders of human comprehension. The mysterious commander who stood before him radiated an authority that eclipsed every king, every warrior, every earthly throne. This was no messenger. This was no symbolic figure. This was the embodiment of a realm where time bends, where storms obey, where creation itself trembles at a single decree. When Joshua fell to the ground in reverent submission, the silence shattered as if the heavens themselves inhaled with purpose. The commander's presence carved through the darkness like a blade forged in eternity. And then came the terrifying truth. The coming victory would not depend on swords or numbers, but on obedience to an otherworldly strategy, a pattern that defied logic yet resonated with an ancient rhythm older than the first sunrise. Have you ever felt called to do something that made no sense, yet burned with sacred certainty? Share your story in the comments. In the center of the camp, torches flickered wildly as Joshua relayed the divine instructions, and the warriors exchanged uneasy glances. March around the city in silence for 6 days. No battle cry, no clash of weapons, no grand display of might. To the untrained eye it looked absurd, even weak. But to those who sensed the tremor of heaven in the air, it was the prelude to a supernatural storm. The ground pulsed beneath their feet as though ancient mechanisms were awakening far beneath the soil. Each silent march tightened the invisible pressure surrounding Jericho, wrapping it like a tightening coil. The city's inhabitants mocked from their towering walls, unaware that the air around them had begun to distort, as if reality itself was preparing to split. The Israelites marched not by strength, but by alignment with a cosmic decree unfolding across dimensions. Have you ever faced ridicule for following a path you knew was right? Tell us below. On the 7th day, the atmosphere shifted. Clouds twisted in spirals above Jericho, the wind humming with low frequencies that vibrated through bone and spirit. As the final march began, an indescribable tension surged across the landscape. like the calm before an unimaginable eruption. And then, at Joshua's signal, the shout erupted, not a human cry, but a roar charged with celestial voltage. The ground convulsed. The walls shivered. A force not bound by physics ripped through the city's defenses like thunder tearing open the sky. What fell that day was not stone, it was pride, defiance, the illusion of human invincibility. If you've ever witnessed a moment where everything changed in a single instant, share it in the comments. Before we continue unveiling the heavenly weapon behind this cataclysmic victory, make sure you subscribe, activate notifications, and share this video so more people can join this revelation unfolding in real time. In the silence after Jericho's collapse, an eerie vibration lingered in the air, a resonance that did not belong to Earth. The shattered stones still quivered as if remembering the celestial force that had torn them apart. Joshua walked through the drifting dust, aware that the destruction was not the end, but the beginning of something far greater. The roar that brought the walls down felt less like a human shout and more like a divine frequency awakening, creation's hidden blueprint. Warriors stared at the ruins with trembling awe, sensing that the sound they released had aligned with a power older than the stars themselves. Could obedience truly unlock forces that science cannot measure? What do you think caused the walls to fall? Human action or a heavenly mechanism responding to their faith? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective matters. As Israel advanced through the broken gates, the atmosphere thickened with unseen presence. It felt as though invisible sentinels guarded the path, watching from beyond mortal sight. Heat still rose from cracks in the ground, as though fire had recently raced beneath the surface. Joshua halted, realizing the divine intervention had not fully withdrawn. The victory was not merely a miracle, it was a synchronization between human obedience and supernatural order. Heaven had not acted alone. It had responded to Israel's unity and trust, forming a bridge where mortal steps activated eternal decrees. Have you ever felt your decisions suddenly connect with something greater than you, something that moved with perfect precision? Tell us below. Your testimony may illuminate someone else's path. The fall of Jericho wasn't a finale, it was a doorway into understanding how divine patterns manifest when faith meets timing. As the warriors explored deeper, a soft, focused glow appeared among the ruins. Not violent, not blinding, intentional. Joshua approached, recognizing that sacred revelations often arrive in quiet brilliance. The light illuminated a circular imprint etched into the earth, a bottom pattern pulsing gently, like a heartbeat from another realm. This was not debris, it was a signature, a mark left by the heavenly weapon. Each pulse whispered that this force was not a one-time event, but part of a living strategy woven into the fabric of divine order. A pattern that could surface again whenever obedience, unity, and divine purpose aligned. Could such patterns still be active today, waiting for a people willing to hear the call? If you've ever witnessed signs of alignment in your own life, comment below. Your experience may reveal far more than you realize. Before we uncover the full identity of this celestial weapon and its message for our time, subscribe, activate notifications, and share this video so more people can join this unfolding revelation. The revelation rising in this final chapter does not appear gently. It erupts like a silent storm, announcing that nothing hidden can remain concealed. When divine purpose draws near, Joshua stood before the ancient tablet as its radiant lines expanded into a living map of patterns stretching from his age into distant centuries. The chamber vibrated as if the stones themselves remembered every prophecy carved into creation, and in that echo something became unmistakably clear. The battles of his time were not isolated moments. They were prototypes of coming conflicts that every generation would face in its own shadows. Walls would rise in countless forms: political, spiritual, emotional, global, and each would demand more than strength. They would demand alignment with the same celestial strategy entrusted to Joshua on that night of trembling light. Have you ever felt that a challenge in your life echoed something greater, something ancient? Share that in the comments and let others draw strength from it. As Joshua lifted the tablet, the spiraling glow followed him, rising through the cracked ceiling like a beacon piercing the deep night. The warriors felt the shift instantly. It wasn't merely courage returning, it was conviction, a certainty born from something far beyond human calculation. The message implicit in the burning symbols was simple yet profound. Victory comes when earthly obedience meets heavenly direction. This truth reached beyond the battlefield, beyond that moment in history, speaking into ages that had not yet taken their first breath. Generations would interpret this pattern through different landscapes, cities of stone, kingdoms rising and falling, nations clashing in silent wars of ideologies, and each generation, including ours, would confront its own Jericho. The walls may not be made of brick, but they stand just as defiant. Which walls have you faced recently? Fear, injustice, pressure, doubt? Comment below. Your reflection may awaken clarity in someone watching. When Joshua stepped back into the open night, the ruins glowed faintly with celestial residue, as though the heavens had left fingerprints upon the shattered stones. The tablet pulsed once, sending a wave of warmth through the camp. And every warrior understood they were no longer fighting with human strategy alone. This weapon from the sky was not steel or fire, it was revelation. A divine pattern designed not to destroy enemies, but to align destinies. And this alignment would echo into every corner of history, including the world we stand in now. In our era of rising tensions, unpredictable shifts, and spiritual noise, the ancient blueprint still speaks. It asks, are you listening to the same voice that guided Joshua? Do you recognize the patterns repeating themselves today? Before you leave, subscribe, activate notifications, and share this video so others can uncover this hidden revelation. From the Book of Joshua.